Okay, let me give you a quick overview of the Dreamweaver here. So I'll cover just basically how I might use Dreamweaver for web development, and also how to do the FTPing and uploading, because I know some of you are new to that. And so let's just start to program. Let me close these examples I have here. So when you start Dreamweaver for the first time, and kind of, has the properties window at the bottom. It has some options. Let me close this. So let me reset everything back to normal. So if you want to go back to normal, you can see reset standard. Now this version that I'm using right here is called the Dreamweaver CC 2017. I know in the classroom we have 2015, but it's a little bit different. I understand that, but the concepts are the same, and so how you would use it is pretty much the same. So the first thing I want to do is tell Dreamweaver where on the computer I'm going to build my site, and doing so is what we call define site. So to define site, I can go under site, new site, because I'm going to make a new example, a new site. If you already have a site, you can say manage site and choose the site you already done. But I'm going to say new site since I haven't. This is a new example, so I'm going to say this is Dreamweaver test. And then here where it says local site folder, I can choose a little folder here, and then I can go somewhere on my computer, and let me just put it on the desktop here and say Dreamweaver test. And so then I'm going to choose a folder. So maybe if you have an existing folder with your pictures in it, or content you already want for your site, you could just go and choose that by using the choose option here. But I didn't have a folder, so I just said Dreamweaver test. So again, this is the first window under site, new site. Again, I found this by going under site, new site is where I found this window I'm looking at. Next is where you would then connect to the server. If you notice, here is where it says server right here. Now I should have given you all a login and password and so on. So if I go to where it says server, I can hit the plus button and give it a name. This name doesn't mean anything. This name is just Dreamweaver, so we could call this again Dreamweaver test. This is just to remind you as you make multiple sites, which one is which. Again, we're using FTP to connect to the server. The address is going to be www.raskoffmedia.com. And then I gave you all, I called mine Jeff at raskoffmedia.com. I think I used the capital J. I hope I did. But I probably gave you one with your last name there, right? Your last name at, this is the at sign, and then raskoffmedia.com. And then I gave you a password. You probably know what that is by now. Let me make sure I typed it right. I think I'm typing it wrong. And then to make sure it works, you hit the test button. And if it comes up with an error, then you probably typed something wrong. But if it says successful, then you are able to connect to the server. And that's all you need to do in this window. Okay, in this window to have it go to your server. So I'm going to hit save. And notice it saves your server information here, because you can have multiple ones. You can remove them or change one or add a new one. But again, in this window, there's two things. You can tell it what folder you're going to build your site in and where the web server is there. And when you're done with that, you hit save and you're ready to get started. Now right now I don't have any pages at all, so I'm going to make a blank page for my site. I'm going to go under File, New, inside of Dreamweaver. This is how you make a new page. And I'm not going to use Bootstrap in this case. I'm using new document, plain HTML, HTML5, and I'm not going to give it a title yet or any of that stuff. I'm just going to hit create. It builds a blank page. You'll notice it starts in code view here. Now in Dreamweaver you can do things in code view or in designer view is what they call it. And there's some tools over here to help you code and so on. So let me just go through some of the tools that you might want to take advantage. We can give our page a name. I'm going to call this web development at the end. 2. And then in the body, you can give yourself a title. So I'm making an example page, and I think I did this in class where you can link to each of the pages. So we can give this an H1 so it's nice and big. And we can give it a closing H1. And then we can give it a subtitle. And let's say go. Well, let's do a P tag and say go to week 1 examples. There we go. And then so we could have a link here. Let me close this P tag right now. And so we'll have a link there. So right now we had just put in some code and some text in there. And right now the H1 is kind of boring. It's just going to be text. So if we save this, again, I'm going to save this. And I'm going to give it a name of index. And then save that. And notice it automatically goes to your folder. And then I can preview this. And then down here to preview in a browser, I mean, there's a live view option right here. I'm going to show you what it looks like live. And you can actually alter it there. You can turn live view off and go to designer view. And then you can go to code view. Okay, so here's the different views. You got code view, which just shows you the code which you start in. You got split view, which shows you this thing called designer view. It's like you're in Microsoft Word and you're typing, and the code is down here. And then over here where it says design, and this is a little bit different in CS5 too, I know that, but you got a live view which shows you what it would look like in a browser. Okay, and then design view. So those are the kind of options that you have. I tend to work in split view. So I can add things up here, or I can add things down in the code view, and vice versa as you're working. So let's say we want to change the type, this text up here. Of course, to change the text or change the H1 tag, we would use CSS for doing that. There is a CSS designer here inside of this program that can help you write the CSS, and it's okay to use that as long as you understand what is the CSS. I think is the important part and how you're doing it. And I think just letting the program do everything for you is not going to teach you all that. So you probably should do a little combination of hand coding as well as, and I showed you some hand coding in class, a lot of hand coding in class, but for right now I'm just going to show you how to use what's called the CSS designer, which is in this program. To do that, we go underneath Window, CSS Designer, right here. Brings up this thing over here called CSS Designer, and I'm going to pull it out. When you pull it out, it makes it, and I'm going to make it bigger. You make it real big. So in this case, how this works is you can make some CSS over here. And if you're going to do internal CSS, you can hit this little source button right here where there's a little plus right here. And I'm going to say define in page, which means I'm going to choose and write the code in the page. If I have an external one, I can say create a new one and make an external one, and we'll get to that later, or attach one if I already have one, or define in page. In this case, we'll write the CSS in the page. Again, it says style right here, which means it's writing, and you'll notice right here it made this right there, which is basically the intro to CSS style right here. If you click here, I'm going to then change the H1 tag. To do that is down here where we have selectors. If I click down there, I can type in H1 and it'll pop up, and so we want to alter the H1 tag. There it is right there. When you click on the H1 down here, you'll see there's some properties that show up over here which allows you to adjust the properties for the H1 tag. You'll notice you can turn it on and off. There's some show set. I'm not sure why they have this turn on and off here. You would think it would just be on. I guess the hand type everything if you know what you want. In this case, we can change things like all the margins, the padding, all around this text. You can give your text a background color if you want. So we can have a color behind our thing. And so we can choose a color behind our text here. Give it a nice big there. You can see it shows it automatically right there. So there's a whole bunch of options here. You should look about how to do that. Again, if you want to change the font, there's a little text option here. You can change your font family over here. Of course, you can download fonts and so on. There we go. We'll go to impact. There we go. And then you want some space between the letters. I might say font style. No, we want the font weight. We want letter. Oh, there we go. Down here we got letter spacing, and let's give it 1M. Nope. Uh-oh. What happened to my H1 tag? Lost it. Let me undo whatever that did. Okay, I don't know why it deleted that. Okay, let me get back. Here we go. Come on, there we go. H1, and I wanted to do, what was it? I was doing letter spacing. Can I put a 1M in there? There we go. 1M. Hit tab. Why did it default to pixel? There we go. So it puts some extra space between my letters up there. Okay, and M is about the size of one letter there. And you can actually dial there. You can dial. Woo, look at that. That's way too much. I don't know what that's doing there. I thought you could put a point in there. You should be able to put a 0.5M in there. How about that 0.5? Nope, that didn't work. Okay, well, let's put our 1M back in there. Oh, it defaulted pixels. So yeah, this might not be the easiest, best way to go about it, but it is a way to save you time. There we go, 0.5 Ms, that's a little better. So again, you got some CSS here. Again, if you want to put a class in there, we can put a div tag in there. Div class equals something, and then closing that, and then closing div, and then put some text in there. We'll call it something like that. And then if you want to do a div, so we did a div class something, we put something in there. I can come up here to my style, and I can go down here where it says selectors, and it'll automatically jump to something because I got my text inside there. If you're not, you can just put a dot something in there. So once I have something in there, I can then give it, you know, whatever I want in my something here. Something, I can give it a box. I can give it a width. Put 200 pixels in there. Oh, why does it jump like that? I don't know. It just jumped over here. Did you see that? And it removed all my stuff. Whoosh, be careful with this program. I lost all my stuff. Okay, well, maybe we type it over here. Maybe it's because I'm on a laptop. I don't really know. But you should be able to select your something here and give it some options here. And let's give this, I don't know, I'm just making a box. I might display it as a block element, and then give it a background color. In class I was showing how to do the gradient, so you might want to give it a gradient. Remember? And then why it's not showing on the screen? I think maybe we have to go to the live view. Let's see, live view. No, didn't work. Oh yeah, there it is. You have to go to live view to actually see it there. So it's not going to show you in designer view. But I put a gradient in there and so on. There's a whole bunch of features in there. So again, you can make classes in here, and you can do basic HTML elements in this CSS designer. So when you're all done, of course I can save this, and I need to upload this to my server. How I can upload this to my server is by using the files window. And in the files window, I'm going to drag this one out too. So again, I'm dragging windows that I need out into the middle of the screen. And then, so how we connect to the server and use it, there's a double view here. It's this one, expand view, which will show you both the server and your computer. So if I click on that, it'll show me the server and the computer. So this is my local hard drive. This will be the server over here. Now, since you don't see the server yet, you have to hit this little button right here. It looks like a plug that you collect, and if you click on that, it should connect to your server. And once it connects, now last class I demonstrated how to put the index there, and then we connected to a video example that I did, if you remember that in class. So in order to send files, you can drag them. So if I wanted to put this new index thing over there, I could drag it from here into there and release my mouse. Now it's going to overwrite my original one that I had there. And it's going to ask me, do I want to send dependent files? I don't really have any dependent files. What a dependent file would be a file that I have linked to this HTML file. And so I don't have anything linked right now. I'm going to say no. and it'll send it over there. Now, if you remember how to get to the server space, it's over here by going over here to www.raskovmedia.com, and then whatever your last name was. I put Jeff in there for my example, and you can see the page that I just made on the internet on my server. Now I don't have a link now because I never linked this up, but I could put a link in there to link to my my different folders with all my content in it. So see if that will help you to build, use Dreamweaver a little bit. We'll try and do it a lot more, but make sure you know how to, again, I was in Dreamweaver to FTP. Once you're done FTPing, you can hit the plug to deselect. If you want to drag things back and forth, I can connect again. It's going to connect again. And let's say I wanted to take this week 1 example and put it in the folder on my local computer here. I can grab the week 1 folder and drag it. Again, I drag it to the top level, whatever folder I wanted to go in. So since I'm dragging up here to the top level, I can release it. And I'm going to say yes to this, so it sends everything, but I think it already had everything. So it sends it over here. Here's my week 1 folder over here now. And now I can link up to it. A very quick way that you can link up to it would be to put the thing in there. Yes? Okay, again, I'm going to link these up. So we'll use the Dreamweaver tools to link these up real quick here. And let me just show you another option that I use a lot in Dreamweaver, of course, is the files window. No, the bar. Oh, I don't see it here. Where is the properties window? I'm sorry, the properties window right here under window properties, and this makes it an easy way to link. So in this case, remember I want to be able to link this text. It says go to week 1 examples. If I highlight that text, you'll notice down here in the properties window you have a link option right here. And there's a couple ways. You can hit the folder and go and choose that, or there's like a little bullet looking thing, and I can actually drag it to that and release the mouse, and it will actually put it in there. So a really quick, easy way to do that is like that. And there's a lot of programs that do that now. I mean, in Xcode, there's a lot of dragging like that, to drag to a file like that, and so on. So, you know, or you can hit the folder right here and go and choose the file you want and hit open. But that's a way to do the linking there. And then I can save my file, and then I can re-upload my index file again, re-upload it to the server, again to the top level. And then, no, I'm not going to do a dependent files. And then if I go back to my my server example here, I can reload, and you'll notice there my link is now there, and I can click and go to my video example. And oh, we did do a map, I know that, and I know I didn't get to make a video for that. But hopefully that just gives you a little understanding of Dreamweaver, and maybe how to FTP back and forth. Think about how to do the CSS with the program. And we're not going to use this a lot. This is a great introduction kind of tool to get us there. Once we get to doing web apps, it's going to be much more hand coding. There's not a lot of tools in Dreamweaver to make web apps like that. Maybe responsive design, there's a lot of really good tools, but not for the web app thing. So there'll be much more hand coding for the next part.